Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing great. Probably cold where you are unless you live in Florida. It's you can see it's frozen here. My pond's froze, pool's froze, everything's froze. And I was out this morning. Shannon and I were busting ice, trying to keep everything from freezing up. And I got to thinking about something that happened 1998, the very end of 1998. We had opened our first practice, our own practice. I was an associate. Then we went out on our own, and I hadn't been open maybe 2 weeks, and there came an ice storm here in Oklahoma City, froze the whole town, shut it down. But I had a four-wheel drive truck, and I made a decision that I was going to show up. Everybody else shut down, but I couldn't do it. So I went down to the office, and it was quite a drive from where we lived. It was probably a good 40 minutes by the time I got there. And I stood there all day long. Now, what was crazy was when I got there, the electricity was down. The wires had come down with the ice storm. And so I had no heat, had no electricity. This was before the internet, cell phones, Facebook, had nothing to do. It was warmer inside than it was outside. So I stood there and I pulled my table out, my adjusting table out in the middle of the hallway. So at least I had light coming through the front window. And I saw two patients that day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Now I don't remember the one in the morning, but I do remember the afternoon patient. His name was Dale. And Dale just drove all the way. The phones were down. I had no phone, had nothing. And he just decided to see if I was there because he had hurt his back. He had slipped, fell, he did something, hurt his back, and he just drove from outside of west of Oklahoma City, drove quite a ways to make it to the office, and I was there. So I've talked to a lot of people here recently that they'll shut their office down or it's not worth it. And they would tell me, and you might tell me, that it's not worth seeing two patients to drive in an ice storm, staying there all day by yourself with no heat, no electricity. Well, I want to tell you something. Dale then brought his wife. They had a little boy named Chris. Chris started coming in. Chris grew up. Chris got married. Him and his wife both come in. They had a little boy. I adjusted him a couple of days after he was born. I've taken care of him his whole life. He's 20 years old now. His name's Tobias. He's coming in still. So you have to understand, I didn't show up for one or two patients. I showed up for my practice. I showed up for my future. I showed up. And I believe the greatest gift that we can give the world is be a light in the darkness. And what does that mean? That means the light is inside you. And if you show up, you bring light to the darkness. I brought light. I reduced the amount of suffering from a man that had no clue that I was even there. He took a chance. And because I showed up, my future showed up. So if you guys want to really celebrate the gift of Christmas and the gift that God has given us in his son and in the birth of Jesus, if you truly want to separate that or celebrate that, then what I want you to do is I want you to take a step back and think about the gifts that we're given. The gift of potential, the gift of choice, the gift of the ability to show up. Show up for your family, show up for your friends, show up for your patients, show up for the world. Be the bright light in the darkness and see what happens. Have an amazing day, and I love y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye.